Right. Good afternoon, Evolution family. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. It's a little bit after 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm Jose Lambert of Archer Travel Service, and joining us for this training today, right below me, is the man himself, Mike Archer. Hi, everybody. I just really quick, Ryan, how was Thomas's supplier webinar training?
That was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was
Good.
a little long, but there was a lot of information. I highly recommend going and watching it and getting your clients on an
You guys, we've got
cruise.
some incredible sales for Norwegian this week. I'm sure he touched on those, and he's got some incredible inventory there too. So if you missed that live, it's right on this Facebook page. You can watch it anytime, just like you can watch this gentleman right below me anytime that you want to. If you missed the class number 2, which was this last Monday, it's right on this Facebook page. There's no reason for your teams or anybody. So senior leadership and the golds, the platinums, the silvers, tell the people, go and watch this. Now, this one is really important. And I really highly suggest that you have paper and pencil ready, because we're going to give you some really great tips on how to handle, and it's not really how to, dealing with objections, it's about how to resolve the objection. Correct, Mike?
Correct. Resolving.
Yeah,
Because
resolving.
resolving when the classic sales line, when salespeople talk to other salespeople, oh, I overcame that objection. I got that objection handled really well. Well, that implies an I win, you lose type of a situation, where resolving says, hey, we have an issue here. It's a valid issue, so let's talk about it and see if we can fix it, where we can move on from that so that we can get to the sale.
And what a great experience to have with that relationship, building that relationship, that I resolved it with the client. I didn't have to win it, or we resolved it together.
That's how you keep clients. Overcoming things doesn't keep clients.
That's right. Overcoming things like, oh, I won, I beat them. That's not, it's the way you resolve it together. So you guys, again, there's some important things in here. Mike joins me like once a year to do this one, and it's really, really good. And again, if you want a copy of this PowerPoint, all you need to do is email me at the end of the presentation. And if you have any questions, you can always email Mike or myself. We'll have all that information out there for you. Ryan, again, I want to thank you for filling in for Amanda this quickly the last couple of days. So let's get to it. All right, let's go to the very next slide. Here we go. All right, update dealing with objections. These, you know what? It's funny, Mike. I'm coming up on my 300th one, by the way. In 5 weeks,
Wow.
I've done this 300 times in the last
Holy
6 years.
cow.
Yeah. This one is, like I said, is really important. This Facebook training on Wednesday is for all agents, whether you're a new agent, whether you've been in the program 3 or 4 years, if you're a leader, if you're a trainer. These ideas that we're going to be talking about will help you and your business. The man below me right here sets you up with the foundation for your business. You need to take his course. I don't need to say it how many times I have to say it. I say it all the time, but you have to take his course. You just have to. And, talk to the people in the comments room who have taken the course. They'll say, yes, it's helped my business. So, again, if you want a copy of this PowerPoint, all you need to do is email me. All right, let's go to the next slide. This is, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, the key takeaways from lesson 7 and 8. For those of you who have already taken the course, and if you've just recently taken the course, what we're talking about here today happens in the takeaways from lesson 7 and 8. Setting the agenda is necessary to begin the presentation phase of the sales process in order to let them know what is going to happen, which will lead to them deciding to buy from you. Consistent monitoring of their reactions using the conversational circle, which is the little engine that could, will verify that you're all on the same page and moving toward a sale. You want to talk about this, Mike, a little bit and expound on it?
Sure. One of the things I learned early on in my sales career from my mentor was when you talk to people, and those of you that don't know me, I was in the yearbook business for 27 years. And my boss and I would ride around in the car going to different schools, and he just pounded on me, when you talk to people, in the agenda, basically it's tell them what you're going to tell them, and then your presentation is tell them, and then in your summary statement, tell them what you told them. So you're reinforcing the concepts that you're trying to get across to them, or their travel agenda that you've set up for them. You're telling them, this is what you told me you wanted. Here it is. Do you agree with what we talked about? Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them. tell them what you told them. And all along the way, the conversational circle, I believe, is the next slide.
No, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Okay, so the conversational circle is simply a way to keep the conversation going. Your client makes a statement of some sort, and then you give them feedback to let them know that you heard them and understood them, and then you ask them a confirming question, or if you've understood it, you ask them a new question that either moves the conversation along toward the sale or toward gathering more information so that you can make an intelligent presentation down the road.
All right, which then closes out the sale. Okay, this is important. This is the whole theme of Mike's course, and I push this tremendously. And this has been, the foundation of Archer Travel for over 70 years. Sales is a relationship business. When I hear stories of Cliff Archer, which is the gentleman here in the glasses sitting down next to Lola Archer, I used to hear stuff from people in the office who knew Cliff. Cliff wouldn't do business with he wouldn't do business with outside people he didn't know. He only did business with people that he knew. And that's how you have to start building your business. And I know you guys do a lot of social stuff. And I know there's a lot of training on the social media, and that's a good thing, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to get out into your community. You got to get out and meet people, flesh to flesh. This will generate you more business and get you more referrals. Mr. Mike, you want to add to that?
I do. When Dad made that statement, he was referring to his own vendors. He was not referring to the people that were coming to Archer Travel Service to buy travel. Dad was constantly on the lookout for people to come in and do business with him. Mm-hmm. But since they started Archer Travel in the lobby of a Greyhound bus station in 1952, Dad and Mom only got burned on one trip in that entire time. And Dad had decided that he got a really good price from a European vendor, and that vendor closed up shop in the middle of their trip. And Mom and Dad were with them on that trip, fortunately. So when Dad says he doesn't do business with people he didn't know, he was referring to his vendors, which is why it's one of the primary reasons why you guys have access to all the BDMs with the people that Archer Travel does business with, for that very reason.
Mm-hmm. And you guys, and we give you the best. You guys have the best BDMs. You really do. Talk to other travel agents, down at triple blah, blah, blah. They don't get they don't see their BDMs the way you guys see them. And they come in here at least 2 or 3 times a year. So, that's a great thing. All right, let's go to the next slide. I'm going to go through this a little bit, Mike. Okay, now the steps of the sale. Now, this is what I, help you guys with. And we kind of go through these, okay? The meet and greet, qualify, research, select, follow-up, presentation of the travel quote, commitment, the terms and conditions, adding the travel insurance, purchase the travel booking, must have the credit card authorization form, no third party, fill out the commission tracking form when is the right way, and watch Mike Archer How to Sell Travel series. Okay, now, and also how to team build, because his course is not just about travel sales, it's about team building too. You can use those same techniques for team building. All right, let's go to the next slide. Now that's my version. Here's Mike's version. Okay, you want to talk about this? Here you go.
Yeah, and each one of the 8 lessons that we have, down in the lower left corner underneath, it says which course lesson that this corresponds to with Jose's training, so that you guys can marry the two up. Mm-hmm. So essentially, what we do, there's a science to selling and an art to selling. What you're looking at here is the science. The first thing you want to do is establish a relationship, and then the next is ask questions, which is Jose's qualifying. And then the key piece to this is, once you think you have enough information, you make a summary statement. And so you summarize everything that you've talked about. But the key here is, do you really know everything? Well, you need to ask that question. So this is what we've talked about. Is there anything else? And then if the answer is no, you go back and continue asking questions. If the answer is yes, then you say, great, I have enough information where I can come back and I can go home and I can make an intelligent proposal for you. So those of you who are used to making 3, 4, 5 different presentations, if you do the first part right, then the things that we're talking about today on the presenting and deciding, you won't have to make more than 1 or 2 proposals because they've already told you what they want to buy. So you are going to sell them just those things.
What Mike's saying here is this: you should never get into that 3 or 4 proposals. You're spinning your wheels. You're spinning your wheels because you didn't follow this correctly. The summary statement, I always like to review like this. Let me get this right, Mr. and Mrs. Client. You want the carnival you want the carnival celebration. You want to be out of Miami. Here are the dates, February 20th through the 28th. You want a balcony cabin. You want it on the port side. You want a drink package, Wi-Fi, etc. Is there anything I'm missing? No. Great. Now, I just want to make sure, review that. Then you can go, and then also be careful here on family reunions and your group stuff, you guys. Be very careful here because, you don't know. You haven't seen, Uncle Charlie and Aunt Betty in 20 years. And whoa, they get to the cruise terminal like, oh, I didn't know they're in a wheelchair now, or they're in a walker, they're special needs. Make sure you get that, because there's nothing worse than, oh, you missed one. All right, and then you're calling and things are getting crazy. Let's go to the next slide. All right, managing your time, managing the process. Okay, talk to me about this one, Mike.
Okay, this is the art of selling. In the old days, a lot of you are doing the way sales used to be, where if you look at the triangle, it's inverted. And the bulk of your time in the current selling scenario is you spend the bulk of your time getting to know people and asking questions. Because if you do this properly, presenting your program and helping them make the decision it's not a back and forth battle. Rather, it's a collaborative effort that's just a natural progression of what you started in the establish the relationship and the asking questions phase. So if you spend the bulk of your time asking questions, then going home and making your proposals, it's a piece of cake because you can concentrate strictly on the things that they told you they wanted. If you don't do it this way, to use the archer arrow metaphor, it's exactly like sticking a bunch of targets on a wall and aiming your bow and arrow at one of them and hoping you're hitting the correct one. This way, you only have to put one target on the wall and you know you're going to hit it.
And, okay, what Mike, because we just talked about this before we came on, okay? This is where you guys shoot yourselves in the foot. You get the information, then you go, oh, I'm going to go home and give them 4 proposals or 3. See, and people do not have time to go through 4 proposals. The cruise line should have been picked already. Don't give them Norwegian Carnival Princess. What are you doing? No, that should have been picked. You should have given them videos for them to decide which cruise line. And don't be showing them 3 different ones now, because then they're like, I don't know where we're going. It's confusing. 1, 2 tops. That's it. Don't be, and 1 is perfect, right, Mike? If you've done this correctly, 1 should be perfect, correct?
1, and then you have a series of options at your fingertips based on what they've told you, like different land packages when they land at the ports. And a lot of this is going to depend on if you're talking to some clients that are loyal to a particular cruise line, for example, then obviously the destination to them isn't as important as the cruise line. Mm-hmm. But if you've got people who are first-time cruisers and they really don't know much, then what's more important is where is it that they want to go rather than which cruise ship are they on. Those are the kinds of questions you need to ask them. What is their travel experience? And one of the things we talk about is they're called bridge questions. And they're essentially hypotheticals. If you're meeting your client for the first time, some of the things you can ask them are, if you could go any place in the world, what would you like to do? If you had an unlimited budget, what would you like to do with that money? Those are the kinds of things they're all hypotheticals, and they're designed to get in. You're not actually selling. It's just designed to get information from them. So this comes under the asking questions phases. Listen, people, the most important part of selling is not talking. The most important part of selling is listening. The person that listens and figures out what they want, that's the person that's going to get the sale.
And it's not hard, folks. It's not hard.
It really isn't.
But you got to be ready and prepared. You got to walk the walk, look the look, Get ready to sit down, meet the clients, get the information. You guys know the information. You guys have seen, all the inventory. You guys know Apple Leisure Group. You know all the cruise lines. You know Delta Vacations. You guys know it, and you know the sales and everything. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, here are the 6 most common objections. I'll go through these. 1, we haven't decided yet, or we are just not ready to book. Number 2, I haven't had the chance to speak with my partner about it yet. Number 3, it's more than we're planning on spending. We can't afford it. We decided not to go. What happens if your client goes dark and won't return your calls or emails? Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, here's something that I'm sure Mike realizes this. Now, let me tell you something. Now, you see, this is why I gave them 4 quotes and I've been staying up all night. No. You see, you're working too hard. Okay? And that's when you get upset because you've been working so hard and they said no. You got to be calm and embrace these issues and try to resolve them together. Like we started talking about at the beginning of this training, that if you resolve these objections together, it's just going to be better for you and the client and the relationship. Keep calm and embrace the challenge. And this is how you become stronger and better travel advisor. All right?
The biggest thing to this, wonderful people, is to just stay non-defensive. Remember, they're just getting to know you. They're getting to learn to trust you. So stuff like this is going to happen. If it doesn't happen in a sales call, awesome. But that's the exception, not the rule.
Right.
Stuff like this is going to happen all the time. Just stay non-defensive and say, I understand. Let's talk about it.
And I've had agents call them and go, Jose, I did my presentation. Everything's ready. And then the husband called and said, you know what? I found it cheaper on the internet. Okay, stop right there. If you got a client that's doing that to you, you call me. Saying, okay, that's great. Show me the proof, Mr. Client. ABC Cruises, who's that? We're dealing directly with the cruise line. I don't know who ABC Cruises is. Let's take a look at their terms and conditions. Let's figure out. A cruise line is in the their business is to make profit. So if they're showing Carnival Cruise Line at $500 cheaper, something's wrong here. Something is incredibly wrong. They haven't added everything, the insurance, the excursions, or whatever. And let's figure this out together. But that's when we can help you. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, the conversational circle, the little engine that could. This is your lifesaver, and this just is. Mike, you want to enhance on this?
Sure. So when you start the conversation, you either start by asking them a question or they start the conversation by making a statement. Either way, you don't care where the conversation starts, but once it starts, this is your process. So let's assume you ask a question, they make a statement. So what you do in lesson 4, we talk about there are 5 different kinds of feedback that you can give them: support, assurance, empathy, acknowledgement. And so what happens is, depending on what they're telling you, that's the kind of feedback that you can give them. For example, when we try to resolve objections, the best form of feedback is acknowledgement. You say, I understand what you're telling. If I understand what you're telling me, you are saying that you have found this cheaper someplace else. Can you share with me what it is you found that was cheaper? And talk about what they are giving you in that cruise, and we can compare it to what we're giving you on that cruise. And who knows, maybe you did have a better deal, but let's explore it together. I want to make sure that you get the biggest bang for your buck. Can you share with me where it is you found it and what's included in that package? It's non-defensive. You're not under stress. You're trying to keep them from getting under stress. And this conversational circle starts at the beginning of the sales process. This is what carries you through all the way to the end, where you finally ask them a closing question. What do you think? Would you like to do business with me? So you're going to use this the entire time. That's why I call it the little engine that could, because it never stops.
Well, there you go. All right, so there's that. And when you're doing that, then they get a sense of, wow, this agent is looking out for me and my travel investment dollars.
But the bigger thing that it does is it shows them you truly are a professional, not just somebody looking to make a buck. That's the difference that it shows you.
If you care about your clients, they will care about you if you go that extra mile. Let's go to the next slide. All right, we haven't decided yet, or we're just not ready to book. Let's go to the next slide, and Mr. Archer will now read this. Go ahead.
The best way to respond to this objection is to straightforwardly ask what part of the quote is leaving you with questions. Okay, perfect. And remember, preface this with the acknowledgement. I understand that you have some issues here. What part of the quote gives you questions? They may not know offhand. And the way I was taught this it was called the three-part resolve. It said, so usually when people have issues like this, it's one of three things. Is it the hotel? Is it the length of the trip? Is it the inclusions that are offered? Or is it something else? So you're staying non-defensive, trying to let them know that you are understanding that they have an issue and it needs to be dealt with. So acknowledgement, give them the opportunity to tell them, and that it's a hard decision. And so that's what I've just talked about right here. Now, one of the things that I want to make abundantly clear here is there are two reasons that people put off selling. One is a stall, which is what this is, and the other one is an objection. Now, an objection is something that's hard and fast, and it's true, and it cannot be changed. For example, you might be have a complicated booking, and all of a sudden, one of the older members in the older generation comes down with COVID. So, and the whole situation is geared around, like, let's say that Archer family wanted to do something for mom, who's going to be 97 next week, and we're going to come down and celebrate. But let's say we're planning a family trip with the families, and mom gets sick, so now we have to change our travel plans. That's an objection. A stall is simply when they put off making the decision. And it's really important to distinguish between the two because you handle them differently.
All right, let's go to the next slide. Now, if you've done it right and you've given everything that they want, so go ahead, Mike.
People struggle with deciding whether or not to go. One of three things. Okay, price isn't right, maybe destination. So I talked about this before. So then
I love this one, Mike. Is this one of our concerns, or is it something else? And then shut up.
And then the key here is shut up, because you have to give them time to think. This is the point where you want to put a little pleasant pressure on them. And I was taught, I don't know if this is true, but I was taught that when you ask a question like that, you shut up, because the person who talks next loses. I don't exactly know what that means, other than if I speak first, I know that that in my mind, I've got some doubt of whether or not I'm going to make the sale. That's how I lose, because I lose my confidence. But if they speak first, they lose only in the sense that they now have to give up something that they may not have been willing to give up before. And people, I had another boss who said, people lie. They always lie. So what you're trying to figure out is either they're lying about something or they are withholding something for whatever reason, and you don't know why. That is why you are constantly asking them, is there anything else? Mm-hmm. Okay?
All right.
Now, if they still refuse to answer that question, you don't have a qualified buyer. We talk about in lesson 4 in the asking questions phase, there are 3 critical questions that you must ask. And if you don't ask these questions, you are not a salesperson, you are a storyteller. You're just swapping stories with them, travel stories with them. So the 3 critical questions that you need to ask, and by the way, if you ask these in the asking questions phase, a lot of these don't come up, but they're going to come up anyway, because people are people. The first one is people. Are you talking to the decision maker? For example, if you're talking to a husband and wife and you've only got one of them, and the husband says, well, I got to talk to my wife. You can head that off at the pass by saying, I understand this is an important trip. And I always, and I always use this with my advisors because I know they had to make the decision in concert with the activity director or the principal. And it says, in addition to yourself, who else is going to take an interest in this decision? Who else needs to be informed of what's going on? And this is going to be really critical for complicated bookings, especially family reunion type stuff. The next one is money or time. You have to know, when are they planning on going on this trip? If they're just doing exploratory surgery and they don't want to go for a year, you don't have a qualified client yet. But what you can do is you can establish the relationship and say, okay, let me do some research. Now that I have some information on where you want to go, let me do some research, because you're not ready to buy yet because you don't know what's out there. And by the way, prices change every 24 hours in the travel business. So we are not ready to make this decision together, but let's keep working on it until we get closer to do this. That way, I call it being in the pipeline. And in my pipeline, I always had A's, B's, and C's. And my C's were the people that I was going to get back to in 2, 3, 4 months. My A's were my hot prospects, and the B's were somewhere in the middle. So we got people, when are they going to buy, and money. If you don't establish how much money they have to spend, then you don't have a qualified buyer. And when the price is going to come up all the time. A lot of times your price is going to come up as an issue. Well, we can't afford that. Well, if you've asked the question, and how you would do this is, because I always knew when I had an advisor they only had X amount of, they had like $10,000 to spend, but they wanted to do a $25,000 yearbook. So we would talk about, okay, you want to do this, 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 and this. How much have you set aside to spend on this project? And then that would give me an idea. No, I got a Volkswagen Bug and they want a Cadillac, and I got to show them that's not feasible. But I always had options to get them close for a cheaper way to go. Travel is the same way. What is it that they want to do? How much do they have to spend? Now, a lot of times, you might not ask this question immediately, because if you do, they're going to get the sense that you're only in it for the money and how much commission you can make. This question I would hold off toward the end of where you're going on this, and just so say, okay, we've talked about this and this and this and this and this. In your mind, how much do you think this is going to cost you? Or I have to go back and I have to set up a budget for this. In your mind, what is your budget telling you that you can handle for this trip? Because that will help me prepare to give you the biggest bang for your buck. And so that tells them I've got their best interests at heart. Yes, I'm in it for the money. I want to make money just like anybody else does. That's why I'm in the business, but I also want to help people. So it's really critical that you add, again, people, time, money. And we go into this in a lot more detail in the class. So those of you that have taken the class, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't taken the class, we just started and you can catch up.
Now, what Mike was saying there, we can help you with some of those things. You know, when you got a group and they don't know when they want to, the client's going to be, we want to do a group cruise next year. Do you know when yet? No, we don't. Well, let me help you. You send your email blast out, you give them a cutoff date. We need to know where we want to go, the dates, and you can start building that relationship. See, you're helping them right away. In regards to budget and things like that. Well, we're going to get to that here in a second. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, I haven't had a chance to speak with my partner about it. Mike just covered that. Yeah. This is really important. We can just jump to that because this is, again, you're spinning your wheels. Again, you're spinning your wheels. You're wasting your time. You're wasting the client's time on this. Make sure you have all the decision makers together. That way that you can get through the next step. Let's go to the next slide, Ryan. Let's go to the next slide. Into the next one, because we just kind of went through that one.
Well, it's more than we were through all of these, haven't we?
Yeah, it's more than we were planning on spending. Now, Mike, I always was taught, what is your budget? I don't know. I want to go to Hawaii. Okay, great. When do you want to go? And again, you people should know this, all right? You know the high times, the holidays are expensive. You know, the weekends are expensive. If you go Sunday through Thursday, it's a lot easier. This is another thing that we talked about, Mike and I talked about. We are in an industry where we can tweak the booking. You can't do that in insurance. You can't do it in real estate. You can't do it on a car. Those prices are the same. We can take the same idea here and go, you know what, Mr. Client, instead of 7 nights, let's do 5 nights. Instead of that, pool view, ocean view suite, let's go down to a smaller room with a garden view. Instead of going on, President's Day weekend, which everything's going to be high, let's go like in the middle of the week. There's ways around doing that, and you should find those things instead of, oh my gosh, I didn't do it, because you gotta know what you have in your inventory and what's available, the times to travel. Again, one of the things that we've just gone through this torturous weather, so you all know now, you guys who watch us all the time, that, September, October is not the time to do cruises or go to Orlando. With this hurricane stuff that we've been having, and there's going to be more of it happening before the end of when it ends in November. But yeah, you want to touch on this one a little bit, Mike?
Just a little bit. If you have people, and there are people out there who just don't want to tell you how much money they have to spend, one of the things that we hit on 3 and 4 times during the course of the lesson is you are always selling yourself first. We talk about features and benefits of the different things that people are going to do. You are the primary feature and benefit to why they want to do business. Your job is to show them why it's better to buy from you than from anybody else out there. And one of the things you can do in order to help build trust is you can say, Jose, I understand that you're reluctant to share with me your budget. I need to assure you, yes, I am in this to make money, but I am more interested in retaining you as a long-term client, because that's the only way I'm going to grow my business, because I want business from you, but I also want business from your friends, your family, your coworkers. I want to build my business, and I want you to be a key part of it. I cannot do that if I come and I give you a $25,000 package and you tell me you can only afford 10.
Right.
That's a problem for both of us, and the trust goes away. My job is to build trust.
Okay.
And just lay it out there for them, people. Just lay it out.
Mike, how about this though, okay? Because this is what I was taught in travel school. If they don't know the budget, okay, let's say it's a FIT, they're going to Europe, okay? They're going to Europe. It's 25th wedding anniversary. They're okay, Dr. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson. If you don't know your budget, what star quality hotel do you want? Do you want 3-star, 4-star, 5-star?
Perfect.
Do you want a full breakfast in the morning? Because in Europe, that's very important. That's the start of the day. Do you want to be in city center where everything is, or do you want to be outside of the city? Do you want to be in Paris, in the center of Paris, or outside? Do you want to be close to the attractions? Asking these things will help you. So when you present, you go, well, here's your 3-star with the breakfast right next to the Louvre that you wanted. It's here. Wow, he brought it. That's exactly what we want. If you give them exactly what they want, they open it. I don't know. I always thought about when you present the quote, it's like opening up the Christmas present. Here's my dream.
It is.
Here's my dream.
See, and that's the difference. That's the difference between what I'm teaching and what Jose is teaching. I am teaching you general sales principles. Jose is giving you specific questions to ask to unlock the keys to figuring out how much money they have to spend in a different way. Yeah. So yes, by all means, pay attention to what Jose is telling you.
See,
because I don't have specific questions because I'm not a travel agent. I'm a yearbook guy. I know the questions to ask for yearbook. I haven't got a clue. That's why you got Jose.
All right, so let's go to the next one because we're going over. Keep going. We've kind of talked to these. We don't need these responses anymore, Mike. Oh, okay. Wait, making the budget work. Okay. Remember, and this is where you guys kind of mess up. You forget about this. You can tweak the booking. Move the travel dates Sunday through Thursday. No holidays. Cut the travel time. Instead of 7 nights, book 5 nights. Change the room category. Instead of the suite on the Navigator of the Seas, let's go with, a cabin with a view. Change room inventory. Instead of the ocean view, try garden view. All right, let's go to the next slide. We can't afford it. Well, yeah, we've already talked about that a little bit. Let's go to the next slide. We decided not to go. Now, this is important because things do happen. And especially lately, as you guys have seen, we've had some incredible weather this summer as we're getting into the fall too. And it's just been really, this is where you should know. You guys listen, I know Ron's like, well, you're talking about weather. Well, when Orlando gets flooded, that it's the busiest airport on the planet, you guys need to know these things. So it's very important that you know these things. But let's go to the next slide, and let's touch on this one, Mike, if we can. Okay? Go back one. Go back one.
Go back in? Okay.
There it is.
Okay. So I might counter with your business is important to me, I understand. But if that wasn't the case, how did you feel about the quote I provided? Perfect. I hope that you'll allow me. Exactly. Is there something I can do to change your mind? I don't know that I would ask that one in that particular way. I guess my question was, I understand you've decided not to go. Can you share with me the reasons that for not going? And then I would follow up with, is this a hard and fast decision, or might you change your mind and go and book at a later date? And if so, would you allow me the courtesy of coming back in and talking to you again? But again, this is the way I sell. I'm very low key. I'm very low pressure. So some of you, especially those of you back on the East Coast, you New Yorkers, everything's high pressure back there. And the other thing I would do at this point, it's not necessarily that you've lost the sale as much as you don't want to lose the client. You can lose the sale, but you can keep the client. And you say, I hope I've earned your trust that you will call me the next time you want to go. And also, I would follow that up with, gosh, I'm sorry we can't do business right now. Do you know anybody else who might be interested in what I have to offer? If you're not asking for a referral to somebody that they know, you are missing a huge boat to help build your business.
Okay.
And by the way, this works whether you get the sale or don't get the sale. You just ask the question in a different way.
Now, here's another thing that you can do about this, okay? Don't walk away going, I lost the sale. No. You're still building on that relationship. Now, one of the things that I always preach, what is it? The importance of follow-up. The importance of follow-up. So they said no now, right? What if 3 weeks from now, let's say that this was an FIT to Paris, and it was spring, and it was going to be spring, and they're in the 25th wedding anniversary. They wanted this romantic thing, and it was just too much. It was just too much, okay? But then we have Delta Vacations Week, and then Mary Dream comes in and says, you know what? I've got a sale on Paris for 2025 or 2026. You get $800 off on the flight, and See? Then you follow up with them and say, hey, you remember we talked about that a month ago? You said you weren't ready yet, but I got this sale. I'm saving you $800. See? You guys, we're genies. These are their dreams. They want to go to Paris. They want that. They want to experience that. The reason why travel has been upticked after COVID was people realized, you know what, I'm only have so much time on the planet. I want to go see these places. And you can make that happen. But you got to follow up. Don't just go, oh, yeah, the Millers, they didn't want to take my trip to Hawaii. Oh, bummed. No. Hey, Mr. Miller, a month ago you said we couldn't. Blue Sky Tours has a sale. We have sales going on. Take advantage of it. Let's go to the next slide. Right, Mike?
It's a cyclical thing. If I knew I wasn't going to get a sale, I would always ask the yearbook advisor, say, I'm sorry we couldn't do business this year. Would you be okay with me giving you a call next spring to revisit, how the current year went? What you guys can do is exactly what Jose says. He says, hey, listen, I know where you want to go, and I know you're disappointed in not being able to go. If something comes up that fits in with what I think is your budget and where you want to go, would you be okay with me calling you and giving you an update just to see where you are? That tells them that you're interested in them. Yeah. That's how you build the relationship.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next slide. What happens if your client goes, we'll return your calls. Now, wait a minute. I want to stop right here, okay? I'm not going to blame this all on the clients, okay? I'm not. You guys have a responsibility here, and you guys know that I hound you about it like crazy. You know I do, and because you guys call us, okay? You guys call, Jose, I need help, blah 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 blah. I call you back, and the voicemail box isn't working and things like that. But again, let's go to the next slide and let's go through these. I know we're running a little bit late, but this is important. All right, here you go. You definitely don't want to come across either here, I'll do this one, or desperate. And this allows you to continue the relationship with the client. It could even bring them back to you. And if you're thinking, but I don't want to help out a client who hasn't booked with me, boy, that's wrong. You always want to help. That would be like saying to me, oh, I don't want to work with an agent who doesn't do, no, I want to work with all the agents. I want to make you better. I'd say that being short-sighted. I'd again be reminded of your favorite quote. You can't have anything you want. You can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. It's all right there. It's all right there. Let's go to the next slide. Should never happen if they pay attention to my admonition of never leave the timing of any decision up to a client. I do this at least 3 times, videos 1, 5, and 7. This is you, Mike. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that I absolutely pound on people is 67% of all salespeople across all selling industries fail to ask for the order. And I can't believe that, because that's how you make your money. But never, ever, ever in this lifetime do you leave the timing decision up to the client, ever.
Ryan,
if they say, I want to get back to you, that's it. There it is. This is the biggest reason you'll lose a sale. You never leave the timing of any decision up to the client. And this especially comes in when they have a stall. They say, well, let me get back to you. If you leave it there, they're never going to get back to you. And those of you that have done this know this is true 95% of the time. So, I said, Jose, I understand you need some time to think about it. As long as I'm here, can you share with me what it is you need to think about? Maybe there's something I've missed? And at this point, I throw myself under the bus. I say, hey, I might have missed something here. If there is, let's talk about it. So, and if not, if you've got all the information you need, about how long do you think it will take you to go over all of this material? Oh, it'll take me 2 days. I said, perfect. Today's Wednesday. I will call you back on Friday to see if you have any additional questions and see if we can move forward at that time. How does that sound? You always get them. And if they say, well, that Friday doesn't work, and I say, okay, great. Give me a day and time I can call, or we can go have coffee and talk about this. You've got to get them committed to sitting down with you one more time. If you don't have a qualified buyer.
Now, again, when Mike gives you that time, use that time wisely. If it is a cruise, let's say it is a Norwegian cruise, and you just found out that they have $1,000 off all the cruises right now, except for certain ships, or right now they have an Archer Evolution exclusive sale that they have going on that you don't have to, your clients, the first 2 clients on the booking don't pay gratuities. So that's another added thing. You know what, Mr. Client, guess what I found out? We got to meet on Friday. What? You're saving me $400? Yeah. If you are on it and you follow what's the trends in the industry, it will help you when you meet with that client again on Friday to close it out. And you should. And that's why we ask you to come to that's why we tell you to come to these briefings and take Mike's course and listen to the BDMs. And watch Destination Specialists so you know where these places are, so you can experience that and share that with your clients. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, listen, use empathy, confirm, respond, and reposition. Let's touch on this a little bit briefly. Mr. Mike?
Well, listening is the key to selling. If you're not a good listener, and some people have trouble, their listening skills are not as good as their talking skills. Mm-hmm. And other people, their listening skills are fabulous. And they have trouble presenting because they have trouble talking. Mm-hmm. So empathy, instead of empathy, I would use acknowledgement, because empathy, and we need to change this slide too, Jose. Okay. Empathy is where you want to come alongside of them and let them know you understand. Empathy is used in highly emotional situations for the most part.
But this should be more like assist and show them the way to do it.
Exactly. So
I mean-
acknowledging says, I understand your position. Let's see if we can work it out. And then so you always ask that confirming question. Remember, do I know enough? Have you understood what we've talked about? Are you in agreement? Great. So you respond and you reposition. So what I always do is when I get an objection, I go, okay, if I can get this resolved to your satisfaction, is there anything else that would prevent us from moving forward? That's the repositioning part of it. So, because what you're trying to do, two things. You're trying to resolve it, but you also want to isolate it to make sure there isn't anything else out there that they're holding back on you. And they will do that. And if they do that, then you still have a trust building issue that you need to work with.
All right, let's go to the next slide. And let's just keep going to
talked
the next.
about that.
Yeah, we've covered that. All right, there it is, you guys. I'm sorry that we went over, Brian, but these were some important things that we wanted to get to you. Again, if you want a copy of this presentation, all you need to do is email me. There's the email address. There's Mike's email address. If you have any questions or any comments or anything in regards to the course, you guys, today we showed you how you can take Mike's course right now. We showed you how to do it. We go into Travel Cafe, you click on trainings, it's right in there. Go in there, take this course. Mr. Archer, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day for being
It's my
with us.
pleasure.
You know?
Enjoy, guys. Hey, listen, I'm sitting in Seattle, fat, dumb, and happy, retired, not doing anything. If you have any questions, give me a holler.
All right, you guys. Please join us tomorrow for Destination Specialists. We're going to show you the Norwegian Cruise Line destinations for 2025. I'm Jose Levitt of Archer Travel Service. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Bye.
See you guys. Well, I had fun. I'm sorry I didn't leave you guys over. All right. Adios, guys.